Hey guys, Shalana here. Welcome to the Bin Zone, and toss a coin to your Witcher. He's back and he brought friends. Along with that, there's a major plot twist at the end, and every faction on the continent is looking for the trio of Yennefer, Ciri, and Geralt, as well as a new conjunction of worlds about to happen. So there's a lot to cover with this ending, but before we get there, we have to dive deep into the lore and mythology and themes of The Witcher to get a better understanding of the greater ramifications about what's happening. So the season starts off right where the first one ended at the Battle of Sodden. Geralt meets Ciri and they go looking for Yennefer. But as we all know, Yennefer vanished after tapping into fire magic, and Geralt thinks she's dead. And the other mages think she's dead as well. Tissaia, all of them. So Geralt decides he's going to take Ciri with him, and they're going to go to the Witcher's home in Kaer Morhen, which is where all the Witchers are made. This is where they go to rest, which is where Geralt is from. So Geralt and Ciri make it there, and we're introduced to a whole slew of Witchers, as well as Vesemir, the Witcher that created Geralt and trained everyone here. And we notice that all the Witchers here are like family, they're like brothers, with Vesemir being their father. So you see a familial bond between the Witchers that's greater than just co-workers. Even though they're not brothers by blood, they're brothers via the Witcher code and the Witcher lifestyle. So you could see a familial bond in here. And this entire season, for the most part, is focused on the bonds of family, but not the bonds of family via blood, but the bonds of family that you choose, the bonds of destiny that brings you or someone into your life. And that family oftentimes is a lot stronger than the familial bonds of blood. Even though we see characters like Fringilla claiming the bond of blood is tighter than the bond of family that you choose, that's not necessarily the case. With familial bonds being a major theme of the season, we also carry some themes from last season, such as destiny as well as legacy. Because in the first season, Geralt and Ciri were linked by destiny, while Yennefer's whole storyline was about her legacy and how all of that comes together. And even though they all tried to avoid their destinies, they came together nonetheless. And now Ciri is the manifestation of their destiny as well as Yennefer's legacy. So while Geralt is with his Witcher brothers, they're training Ciri in the arts of fighting, defending herself in the Witcher ways as a way to help her protect herself. And at first it starts off antagonistic, but they all recognize that she is the child of promise of Geralt. So it's like a bunch of uncles raising her. So you see how Ciri gets that familial bond with them, which comes to play dividends later on when she is possessed by the Deathless Mother, and how when they reach out to her, her familial bonds are able to help her. And on the flip side, when it comes to Yennefer after the Battle of Sodden, Yennefer vanishes, but we come to find out that she has been captured by the elves. Her, along with Fringilla, have been captured. And while they're in the captivity of the elves, they end up stumbling upon the tomb of the Deathless Mother. And Fringilla, Yennefer, as well as Francesca go down to the tomb and they meet the Deathless Mother. And the Deathless Mother, aka the Valeth Mir, wants to be free of her captivity. And she promises each of these women something that they all are looking for. When it comes to Fringilla, she promises her favor with Imri, the White Flame, the leader of the Nilfgaardian army. When it comes to Francesca, she promises her a child of hope, which will be the future of all elvenkind. Because up to this point, elves have been having trouble reproducing amongst their own kind, creating new pure-blooded elves. And when it comes to Yennefer, she promises to give Yennefer back her magic. Because throughout this entire season, Yennefer has lost her magic after tapping to fire magic at the finale of the first season, and now Yennefer has no magic. All of these things are these three mages' deepest desires, and we know why for each of them, especially when it comes to Yennefer. Magic is the only comfort she's had because of her long life. Magic is the only thing that makes sense to her. Magic is the only thing that's always been there for her. So that kind of ties in. But in true to Yennefer fashion, Yennefer doesn't want to give over control to the Deathless Mother, so she doesn't take her offer, which is smart because the Deathless Mother preys on the fear and desires of those around her or those who come in contact with her. So Yennefer not taking her power and not getting her magic back actually plays to her benefit. So as the season progresses, as we're following the different characters, we start to learn more about just Ciri's family, her lineage, and just who she is as a person, because her mysterious power is now starting to manifest even more so now. And on the Witcher's training ground, we come to find out that she has elder blood in her. Elder blood being that of the ancient pure-blooded elves, the most powerful creatures on the continent, which is now the best time to talk about the first conjunction of spheres, which essentially is what sets up the entirety of the Witcher world. 1500 years ago, this planet that they're on now, or the continent that they're on now, existed, and then out of nowhere, other worlds started smashing into this planet, which started causing other creatures to come through, which is where the monsters come in, as well as the humans and other types of creatures. Because the world we're in now was originally the world of the elves. Humans were not native to this land, so when humans came, they slaughtered the elves and took over, and now human dominance reigns over the continent. But before then, it was all elven. So the ancient elves themselves had a breeding program to create this child of prophecy, and this child of prophecy would be the one that would save the elves and bring them back to prosperity. Somewhere along that bloodline, humans got mixed into it, and that blood has been transferred from Calanthe's bloodline, and she is the one who was carrying this elder elven blood, even though in the first season we know she hated elder blood. So we could see how the familial bonds of blood has been passed down, and throughout this season we come to find out that Calanthe knew, and Ciri's whole family knew, and they kept it away from her. They kept it hidden. And it goes to show again, how deep does the bond of trust go when it comes to family, especially blood family, when they keep such things like that hidden from you as well. So that explains Ciri's abnormal amount of power, because she is a child of destiny, a child of prophecy. So because of that, Ciri can either save the world or destroy it. Every time she screams, we see that monsters come out, these monoliths that were part of the first conjunction, residue from other worlds, other dimensions. We're talking on a multiversal scale here. And because of that, it makes everyone across the continent want Ciri for their own gains. The Brotherhood want to get rid of her because she's elven and she has that type of power, and we know how they feel about that. We can just look at Yennefer. The Kingdom of Man wants her because they want to tap into that power, and Nilfgaard wants her because of who the White Flame is. We're going to get into the White Flame a little later at the end of the video, but let's switch over to Yennefer's side. So Yennefer, throughout her adventures, is trying to find a way to get her magic back, and even going back to Aroteja, she's not able to get her magic. And lo and behold, meeting Jaskier and then bumping into Geralt and Ciri where she did in Ninikai's tower, it shows that destiny is always pulling them together. Whether she wants to or not, whether Geralt wants to or not, Geralt thought she was dead, and then it brought her and him together. Destiny as a whole is putting them together. Yennefer's legacy is going to be Ciri, because Yennefer can't have kids. Geralt can't have kids because of the procedures to give them their powers. They're both sterile. So now Ciri is not only the binding force of destiny bringing them together, she's also the legacy that those two will leave behind, because Ciri is the key to everything in this universe. Now, Yennefer was about to turn Ciri into the Deathless Mother in order for her to get her magic back. But it's once she forms that bond with Ciri, she starts to understand where Geralt is coming from when it comes to Ciri, because that familial bond of destiny holds them together. And that's when she decides not to do it, and they go back to the Witcher's Keep. And that's when the Deathless Mother, who had given the elves a child, who had given Frangilla favor with the Emperor, takes it all away at their moment of peak. Because remember, she feeds off your desires and your despair. So when their joy was at its peak, when the elves had this child born, the future of the elven kind in their hands, when Frangilla was about to meet the Emperor and she was about to gain the most favor, the Deathless Mother snatches it away from her, uses that power to free herself. So when Geralt goes to try to find her, she's gone and she's possessed Ciri, and her beef is with the Witchers, because hundreds of years ago, the Witchers combined together and they couldn't kill her, so they trapped her in that pocket dimension, and now she wants to exact revenge. And her taking the body of Ciri, going back to the Witcher's Keep, and then killing a lot of Witchers is her way of getting revenge. And again, Ciri being the key to all of this is also the key to making more Witchers, because of Ciri's elder blood. She can produce more Witchers with her blood. So she really is the linchpin keeping everything in order. She is the hope and salvation of everyone, but also the power that she holds can destroy it all. So when it gets to that point and the Witchers are about to kill Ciri, Geralt and Yennefer gets there in time, and together they're able to use their familial bonds with Ciri. They're able to reach Ciri deep where the Deathless Mother has keeping her subconscious hidden with memories of her actual blood family, of her mother and father, of her grandmother. And it's her bond, her familial bond with Geralt, her familial bond with Yennefer, as well as the other Witchers who are like her uncle, that pulls her out. Yennefer then takes the Deathless Mother in her, and then Ciri opens a portal into another universe. And that's when they release her, and that's where we meet the Wraiths of Morhaug, aka the Great Hunters, who are these beings that travel the multiverse to different planes of existence, hunting people of power down to make sure to bolster up their powers. So they want Ciri as well. So these are interdimensional traveling beings that go to different worlds, release monsters, and kidnap random powerful people to bolster their forces. And Ciri is their target. But they're able to escape and go back to the main world. And then at the end, we get the twist of all twists. The White Flame, Imri himself, is actually Ciri's father, Duny, the guy with the hedgehog curse. This entire time we were wondering what happened to her parents after they died, but apparently the father didn't. And now it seems as though the father knew of Calanthe's bloodline, which is why she wanted Pavada, Calanthe's daughter, to create Ciri in the first place. So all this child of surprise, all of it was manipulation on his part to get power beyond power. That blew my mind. And this entire series goes to show, even when it's blood, we see Fringilla and her uncle, how that relationship works. We see now with Duny and Ciri, as well as Calanthe knowing the truth and keeping it away from Ciri. We see how the familial bonds of blood can deceive you, but we also see how bonds that you create yourself, familial bonds that you nurture from strangers, people who aren't blood related, can be strong, can be a weapon against you. And now that the whole entire continent is after, and now everyone on the continent is looking for Ciri and anyone associated with her, i.e. Geralt and Yennefer. But Geralt and Yennefer promised themselves their love together. They're going to protect Ciri and make sure she survives it all. And the season ends with everyone coming after them, Ciri's father being revealed, and yet we still have Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri against the world. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video on The Witcher Season 2. I hope you liked it. Let me know about your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, binge on.